What is going on, guys and gals? Brooklyn Bound the Raid Scientist here, and today we're going to walk you through all the triumphs needed for the Season of the Defiance title and seal, Queensguard. Real quick, thanks for stopping by, and if you find this video helpful, please consider subscribing to get connected to the channel and all the other great guides and Destiny 2 content. Thanks. Alright, so to obtain Queensguard, you need to complete 12 different triumphs across Season of Defiance activities. I'll go over each one individually and link in the timestamps in the description if you want to skip to one in particular. Let's jump right into it. The first triumph up is Unbowed and Unbent, which requires you to complete every step in the We Stand Unbroken questline. This is the seasonal questline for Season of Defiance, which opens up at the farm with Marasov and progresses week by week until all steps are completed. It's time gated week by week until week 5, and at that point you can do as much or all of it at once. This quest will require you to do the seasonal activity, which is the Defiant Battlegrounds, as well as talk to different NPCs and do some hidden missions. It's relatively straightforward, and you complete the entire quest line to finish this triumph. Next up is Defiant Keyholder, which requires that you use Defiant keys at the end of seasonal Defiant Battlegrounds to open chests and obtain loot. You can get the keys that open the chests from Strikes, Crucible, Gambit, Raids, Lightfall Mission, and Terminal Overload. You can only use one key per run through the Defiant Battlegrounds, and you need to open 15 total chests, meaning you need to complete 15 Battlegrounds to complete this triumph. Third up is the Stand on the Table triumph, which requires you to completely upgrade the War Table in the Helm. There are 11 total upgrades required to finish this triumph. Each of these upgrades requires a War Table upgrade currency, which comes from completing seasonal challenges. Over the first 4 weeks, there are 2 or 3 seasonal challenges each week that require you to progress the main story, use seasonal weapons, etc. You want to look for the ones that have the War Table upgrade as a reward. And for each one you do, you'll be able to unlock one node on the War Table. I would recommend unlocking all 3 favor attunements first, as well as Deep Sight Decoding. These will allow you to start generating favors, which are special buffs, in the seasonal activity, which you need for another triumph. And you can also get a guaranteed seasonal red border, respectively. The fourth triumph needed is Country Radio, which requires you to listen to all the messages at the farm. After you complete a series of steps in the We Stand Unbroken questline, a new message will be available for listening to, which gives story content, and it's available in the farm. Walk up to this terminal and listen to it. This is time-gated with the We Stand Unbroken quest, so you can only listen to as many as you've unlocked by progressing this quest. Essentially, when you finish the entire seasonal questline, 5 of the 6 messages will become available to listen. While the 6th message is not yet available at the time of making this video, it is likely going to be unlocked in some future seasonal finale or something like that. This is just my guess. The next 3 triumphs I'll cover all together, and they are the Bend Towards Justice, Grace Under Fire, and Zeal Appeal triumphs. Each of these 3 triumphs requires that you pick up special favors, or buffs, in seasonal activities. These are Favors of Justice, which can spawn from ability final blows, Favors of Grace, which spawn from special weapon kills, and Favors of Zeal, which come from heavy weapon kills. You need to have unlocked the Favor attunement upgrades on the War Table to be able to spawn these. Also note that your teammates in these activities can spawn them as well. The triumph is not necessarily to spawn the favors, but to acquire them, which means when you spawn one, you will have to go run through it to pick it up for it to count. These 3 might take a while to do, just make sure you pretty much put your kinetic weapon away in these activities and try to focus on abilities, special weapons, and heavy weapons to spawn them more often. Another huge tip is to make sure you're wearing a full set of 4 seasonal unyielding armor pieces. This armor has an intrinsic perk, Queen's Favor, which allows you to generate more favors and fewer final blows, so definitely have this on. Finally, another tip is that the exotic mission node Avalon counts as a seasonal activity towards this as well. So you can load up the very beginning, use a flag to maximize your heavy and special ammo, and kill enemies non-stop until you run out of ammo. Then wipe and repeat with a fresh flag and keep repeating this. This strategy is very effective in finishing up all of the favors. Either way, you need 100 of each to finish all 3 of these triumphs. Next up is Big Game Finisher, which is not really a complicated triumph at all. You need to kill 75 champions in the Defiant Battlegrounds playlist. While this seems like a lot, just doing the weekly quest line and farming the activity for loot, you're going to get this one completed relatively quickly. Next up is Legendary Trifecta, which requires you complete each of the Defiant Battlegrounds on Legendary difficulty. This season, Legendary difficulty scales up to 1830 power, and at 1815 power you are capped. These unlocked on March 28th and rotate weekly, so you're going to need to keep tabs on which of these is available each week to get all 3 of them finished before the end of the season. They are pretty easy to be honest, which is much easier than the Legendary Node Avalon mission by a long shot. Your loadouts are locked, so make sure you are set up for champions ahead of time depending on which are present. They also have an overcharged weapon and surges just like other legendary content. Next up is CTRL-ALT-COMPLETE, which requires you complete all 3 of the Avalon quests from the Vex Caliber exotic mission. This exotic mission starts with a hidden quest in the Gulch in the EDZ, where you have to find these Vex nodes and then go into the cave to start up the exotic mission from there. Doing so will unlock the Node Avalon mission and the ability to acquire the Vex Caliber exotic glaive. Along with this mission will come legendary quests called Vex Caliber Authorization Override, Vex Caliber Expert Authorization Override, and Bring the Lake Down, all that come from the war table. Each of these quests must be done in succession and require things like killing Vex with the glaive, completing the mission, among other things. You have to complete all 3 of these quests to complete the CTRL-ALT-COMPLETE triumph. Next up is arguably one of the most difficult triumphs to complete for Queensguard, and that is to complete the Node Avalon mission on Legendary difficulty. Because Bungie buffed the difficulty of Legendary content this season, this mission on Legend can be quite difficult. Bringing Void weapons, Well of Radiance, Word of Dawns, and chaining supers as much as possible will help keep you alive through each of the phases. You want to prioritize rotating supers and making orbs for each other. I also found that a good Void heavy machine gun does wonders in this mission on adds with the buff to heavy machine gun ammo reserves. Find yourself a good fire team and get ready for a wild ride on this one. Completing this mission on Legendary will give you the catalyst for Vex Caliber, as well as completing this triumph. And finally, last but not least, is the Triumph Scourge of Light, which requires you get kills in any activity with seasonal weapons. The weapons that count for this are listed on the Triumph, but are any of the Queensguard weapons that are at the war table. You need 1,000 total kills, so I suggest using at least one of these primary and special weapons when doing strikes, battlegrounds, and standard content as much as possible. If you want to farm kills faster, don't forget about things like the Shuro Chi checkpoint, the entrance to the Grasp of Avarice dungeon, both of which are very effective in kill farming for leveling up weapons and farming for kills. And that is all 12 triumphs needed to unlock the Queensguard title and seal this season. Overall, not too bad of a grind, although with the difficulty changes to the game, the Legendary Node Avalon and Legendary Battlegrounds can be a little challenging. Best of luck in getting this done, and thanks for watching, Guardians. Until next time.